Were you impressed on Saturday? More importantly, will you be impressed against a big opponent on Sunday night? We talk Florida State football here, of course, at the Voice of College Football every Wednesday with you. We got the whole gang here, so it must be a big game. All right, from the top, Jason Parker, NBC6, Logan Robinson, Noel Game Day, James Coleman. Let me just try to figure out all the platforms he's on. We will let him get you there. Guys, how we doing tonight?
I think everyone can just at the same time just deep breath, guys. We're 1-0. I don't care a damn who it's against. I don't give a damn how. We're 1-0 on the season. We beat our FCS opponent. We did our job.
Yep. Almost shut him out too. Almost if there wasn't an interception thrown. But maybe some evaluators from the spring and the fall camp might have been wrong on that part, on the backup quarterback situation. But I think a lot of us might have been expecting might have seen some growth there from Rodemaker. But it is true. You have to keep Jordan Travis very, very healthy for the rest of the 2022 campaign.
And let's give Logan actual some credit. I know I try to avoid this at all costs, but let's give Logan some actual credit on this one. The offensive line did look better in this game than it has in the past couple seasons. I will give the offensive line credit. That being said, it couldn't have gotten much worse than it has been the past couple seasons. But the offensive line looked better. And James, big game James Coleman, you as a former running back, can we talk about that running game for a moment? First time in Florida State history, 3 running backs over 100 yards in a game. I mean, we're talking about 386. I apologize. Excuse me. 406 total rushing yards in that game from that rushing unit. Let's talk about that for a moment.
A lot of people are saying, like, consider the opponent. And what I said was, we've had way better teams that have played way worse opponents, and we still never done that. That is incredibly hard to do in a blowout. You've got, and it really, I believe if Rodney Hill had one more series, you would have had 4 running backs that would have been over 100 yards. But to have every running back in your seg, I guess Josh Burrow, I always forget that he's there, Burrell, but like he doesn't count quite yet. But I'll just say every running back in the seg scored a touchdown. That is dominance, and that's just dominance in the most fun way. I mean, everybody wants to throw the ball and spread it around. But man, running game is about as equivalent of fisticuffs as you can get in football. It is literally it's a long day for the guy, for the defense when they can't do anything. So to be able to do that, to not have a ton of penalties, and sure they still have some things that they need to clean up. But what was very impressive was I believe it was 16 missed tackles that Trey Benson had, and if I did the math correctly, it was about 1.5 missed tackles per carry for him, and that's a lot. I think the running back said average like 7.5 after contact. It was really people can say what they want to say about Yak and his inability to really recruit the top guys coming out of high school, but when you look at what he's brought in and the success that they had last season with Jay Sean and Trayshawn, I like it. It was the sky's the limit, man. I can't wait.
Logan, looking at what Florida State did in that game, you got Trayshawn Ward, 14 carries, 127 yards, 2 touchdowns. Trey Benson, 11 carries, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. Lawrence Toafili, 13 carries, 101 yards, and a touchdown. James talked about it a little bit last week, and yes, the level of competition, let's be honest, this was Duquesne. This wasn't LSU, This wasn't Clemson, this wasn't Miami, this was Duquesne. That being said, do we now have a 3-headed monster in that backfield a la that 2013 season when you had James Wilder Jr., Devontae Freeman, and Carlos Williams?
It feels that way. I want to see it throughout the rest of a couple more games. Definitely this upcoming weekend whenever they're going to face some better talent there, and definitely probably going to be a better team with tackling. Duquesne was atrocious there on that part, but you got to give credit though for some of those plays that Trey Benson was making. Those weren't easy. No matter kind of which level you're facing against. I mean, staying balanced that way with a wet field. They had an 1.5-hour delay with it absolutely monsooning too for a guy his size to keep his balance and stay north. Try to get more yards down the field. I thought that was impressive, but Duquesne just didn't know how It just couldn't tackle worth crap. So, that running back room was really nice. And like James said, if you had another series with Rodney, I mean, they were just going to continue to do the same thing, just go down the field. And Florida State, Coach Atkins, they're going to be really run heavy this upcoming season, and they were able to manage this game. I mean, it was dominating. That's expected, like Mike Norvell said. You had to dominate that game. That's how it should be. That's how it always should be when you're facing a smaller opponent like that. And so now you build that. You lose Darius Washington kind of early in that game at that center position. You already don't have Maurice Smith in there. So then you're on to option number 3, which is Dylan Gibbons, who I thought throughout the movement of this, you're throwing Turrentine in over there also at guard. I thought the chemistry along the line there and the rhythm didn't change up much. I thought it was smooth. The drives looked good with them in there. Still some things need to be fixed. I thought Duquesne still was able to kind of break through a couple of times, and that's all just going to have to be looking back at film, and they can fix and correct those things. There's no reason for Duquesne to come up there and disrupt some of those run plays like they did a few times, but that can be fixed. You go back and look at film and make adjustments there. But, Jason, I think you definitely do have a very run-heavy offense, and we got to see splashes, though, on the pass game. You got to see Jordan Travis come out. Not going to show a whole ton in this game. You're not going to show a crazy amount, but it was good to see a guy like Portier, who we didn't talk about a whole ton in this fall camp, show up, bring down some catches, and, that big one down the field there, a nice throw from JT. I think, I won't keep on talking, but rambling. But I thought the passing tackle was pretty decent there too. And Jordan Travis, maybe that one throw that wasn't great, but other than that, kind of was the game manager and looked smooth. Only had to rush 11 yards, and I'm not expecting that to be the same stat line this upcoming Sunday. I think they're going to use them more, but I thought overall JT did a pretty good job.
Yeah, Jordan Travis, 11 of 15, 207 yards on that. James, look at the numbers, though. I mean, you look at Johnny Wilson only had one catch. I mean, a big catch, 51-yard catch. Micah Pittman, 4 catches for 44 yards. Deuce Spain, 3 catches for 40 yards. Along what Logan said, should we be surprised that Florida State did not try to test out the passing game more, or should we just say, hey, it was the conditions, it was the opponent, just get out, get healthy, focus on next week against LSU?
You've got you don't need to do like what they ran was the most basic offense they needed to, and I like what Mike did. I believe you play your starters you play your main guys 3 quarters, then you let off the gas a little bit in the 4th, and I think that's what they went in and did, and it was just you go with what's working. That you put enough on film to show what Jordan's good at. We saw post wheel concepts, seam wheel concepts. We saw short game. We saw long game. We saw very little play action. We saw very little, again, as we talked about, Jordan Travis using his legs. He was extremely accurate. And what they're going to what's going to have to account for, and I think this is what will make Jordan Travis take him to that next level. And if he's able to do this, he will be a guy that we talk more about as the season progresses. But can he be a point guard and not considered a running back with an arm? And what I mean by point guards distribute the ball and then hit the 3 when they need to. They don't have to be the only threat. So I think that's where it was. But even when you're kind of talking about the distribution, I mean, you've got everybody that you just named was over 10 plus yards per catch. That's showing big play potential right there. So you kind of just need those guys. And I think Johnny Wilson didn't play a lot because you felt that you had this game in tow. With his ankle being a little bit tweaked, there's no need to really push it. But I agree with Logan. When you see Portier, who we really haven't spoken about, be the leading wide receiver in yards, I think that's the thing. So like now, what they have to do is they got to go watch film, and they've got to watch film to see which Jordan Travis are they going to get. And can they put pressure? Can they do things like that? And again, we kept it very basic. Now, Brian Kelly's a smarter coach than that, and he's got film from last year. But I like to believe that some of the things that I've seen in camp, that this offense might be a little bit different than what we've seen the last 2 years. In particular, with Mike Norvell being the signal caller.
Logan, on the defensive side of the ball, Florida State only gave up 164 total yards of offense. On the flip side of that, something that a lot of people came out against, only one sack. One sack, 6 tackles for loss in the game like that. Talk about the defensive play that in this game. Jared Verse coming up with the 1 sack. But I think that Florida State should be given a lot of credit. I mean, you're talking about literally an entire game, not the greatest field conditions, and only giving up 164 total yards of offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that stat line with the 1 sack is what all the FSU fans and everybody wondering why wasn't there 3, 4? Where's Fabian Levitt? Where's Robert Cooper? Norvell said it best. I mean, they were getting the ball out quick as hell. I mean, I saw a stat where they threw the ball faster out than any other college football team did last year. I mean, they were throwing out 2-point-something seconds, making sure they did their game planning. They knew about Florida State's defensive line and that edge with Jared Verse, Derek McLennan, Briggs on the side there. They did their good, game prep and knew that was just not going to work with sitting a quarterback back there for more than 2 and whatever seconds that they had. So that's why I'm not too concerned there on the edge rushing part of things. Verse comes away with the sack, no shocker there. And if anybody's worried about Verse or whatnot, don't be. I mean, if you go back and watch some of the film from last Saturday night, he was everywhere, and that's nothing shocking from anybody that's watched him in fall camp or read up on any of the outlets that have been writing about him. He's a guy that will play a factor in both pass rush and run game, and he'll go east to west very quickly. So I'm not too worried about that on that front, but I do think out of the linebacker room, I mean, those guys look good to me. I know Gaynor kind of got switched around quite a bit, and that's something that has kind of been through his career where I think film later on in the season helps that for him. But starting off, that was a tough game. But shout out to Kalen DeLoach, who I thought had a really nice game, along with Tatum Bethune. That tweet from earlier today of Bethune going, I saw that one live. I was able to see that one before the press box window was fogged out of its mind. But watching Tatum Bethune go from the middle of the field all the way over to the right hash and come away almost with a tackle for loss there, I mean, that's exactly what you wanted from Bethune, the transfer from UCF. He's exactly just everything that you wanted. I mean, you just, a tandem now with having Kalen DeLoach next to it, a guy who broke out last season. Kalen looked good, just looked like in midseason form from last year. That's a really nice tandem to have. You got to hope Gaynor can get healthy there, but you got to see Omar Graham Jr. in there, and you also have Brendan Gant, who, as we all know, and we've known this since he was a freshman, he's not afraid to come down and hit. And if he gets that playbook down and everything, then he can come in and sub in for a Gaynor when need be.
Logan, will Gaynor, has he officially been declared out for this game, or what did Mike Norvell say earlier this week?
Yeah, he said probably, and so I'm taking that into effect that he will not see number 33 out there on defense on Saturday. And so you're looking at Gant, and I think this team also is going to give some chances, and we'll see. This is LSU, so I'm not going to see a whole ton of them, but Omar Graham Jr. is going to have to step up here, just depending on the length of Gaynor's injury. But I've been told from a lot of people around the program, Omar Graham Jr., one of the smartest guys in that locker room. And if you go back and watch some of the film, he was one of the sleeper guys coming into this recruiting class. Everybody's up there, Azrae Thomas, Sam McCall, but Omar Graham Jr., going back, watching some of his highlights that he did there in his senior season, Omar Graham Jr. is a special athlete. If he can continue to get that playbook down, I think they're going to give him some more options and give him some more PT during some of these practices. I wish we could give more details on what that looks like, but I'm expecting to see a good amount of Omar Graham Jr., which would really excite me because I think year 2 from him, he's a potential guy to jump in that starting unit.
I would expect more.
I like his jersey number.
Me too. I don't want him to change it.
Yeah, it's good. We've had really good success with guys who have that number. So, but yeah, those guys are pretty good.
I mean, I would expect more from a Child's High guy. I'd expect him to be able to play through pain, but those Child's High guys must be a little bit soft, I guess.
I didn't get to see that on TV. Like I said, we couldn't see anything second half up there. But what happened? Was it on TV? Did we get to see what happened?
It didn't really look like anything, but I know
crazy.
Sometimes those injuries kind of just kind of get a little freaky. So, but
Jason, what did you think about that defensive back room, mainly Jamie? I thought that he looked like he looks the part. I mean, you're not worried there. You also had Shaheem Brown out there at safety along with Hakeem Dent.
I'm cautiously optimistic at this point. Once again, it's hard for me to get hyped up like you, who's already said 12-0 national title, but I'm a little cautiously optimistic about who we played. There were times in that game watching it. You watch Duquesne's rushing game, DeMarcus Ware, Damon Macklin. These guys were able to get a few carries where they were able to get into the secondary, rush the ball. I think that's more of a question of our defensive line and our linebacker room. For me, the one concern I would have this game, and I wanted to talk to both of you guys about this, there was a point in the second quarter where Florida State gets down inside the 10-yard line twice and settles for field goals. Mind you, we're up 20-0 at that point. It's no big deal. We go into the locker room 26-0. We've seen that in the past. We've seen that come back to bite Florida State in the backside several times towards the end of the Jimbo Fisher era, under Willie Taggart, and under the first couple of years under Mike Norvell. Is there any concern for you at this point? I get it. We scored 3 touchdowns in the second half. We blew them out by 40. I understand that. But I just have that concern, especially going into a tough game against LSU, then a tough road game against Louisville, that there's going to be those times where we're just going to get down. And instead of, if you have the ball on the 4-yard line, you're up 20-0. I get that it's Duquesne. But I feel like this is a genuine practice opportunity to get you ready for the LSUs, for the Miamis, for the Clemsons. Are you concerned at all at that point that it was reverting back to the old school offense? Or am I just going to be sitting over here on this one just being the pessimist?
I think you're just being the pessimist,
Okay.
but it's fine. It's not a problem. I mean, I get it. It's just like, it's a game where you legitimately play your base offense and you don't show anything. I think when Mike the one thing Mike did that a lot of people did kind of get on him about early in the game, and honestly, I would have went for it every opportunity I got in the beginning, but that's just me. But when he went for the 2, and they missed it with Rector, I think they kind of just said, all right, well, we're going to try to get situational football. Why not? You want to get your field goal kicker some confidence. There's 3 phases of the game: offense, defense, and special teams. You need your kicker getting used to that. You need the snaps and getting them game reps too. So it's no better way to do that. And then it's just like styles make matchups. So you haven't really game plan for Duquesne like that. You're not you're not trying to put all your stuff out there for LSU. You have an idea what they're going to run. So you're going to find, you'll practice 80 plays to run 20 of them, if that, during a game. So like, that's kind of just the nature of it. So don't give them too much. Make them think you're vanilla, even though I know they don't, but just be vanilla. As much as you can, and then go out there and give them something to be surprised about when you actually do face LSU.
Yeah, I was going to say real quick, I know we're about to have Carter come in here and get into some LSU talk, which I know everybody wants us to talk about. But I was going to say, just like James said, I don't think they don't want to give away any kind of red zone packages. Definitely, if they're trying to go for a lethal score there, I don't think they're giving away much. And to me, I want to see some answers. I want to see some consistency out of Ryan. I know they weren't long field goals, what it is, blah, blah, blah. But for the circumstances and whatnot, I was glad that he was able to be put into a position where he, instead of just extra points, he had to get some field goals down. So I take the optimistic side of things. But, this was very, very vanilla from both sides of the ball, in my opinion. They were very sweet and nice on the blitz packages that they're dropping down. I know they brought Jamie down a few times, one of him coming down after the quarterback. But, it was vanilla on both sides. And don't want to give away too much before we head down to New Orleans and get into the LSU part of things.
Fine, I'll be the pessimist. You're the one trying to take away Tate Rodemaker's scholarship, but for sure, I'll be the pessimist. It's fine.
Tate doesn't need a scholarship taker. Tate is a great person. He's going to be great at selling insurance. He's going to be a phenomenal high school football coach. I just don't want him taking snaps in it. That's all. Like, give him a scholarship, let him roll out. Just no more snaps.
Tate
it's serious when we go to a 5-box show.
This is
here
huge.
We are.
This
Got
is
our guy Carter here from LSU Power Hour. Carter, what's going on tonight?
Yeah, so why is that other guy the backup? Is Duffy not ready, or
Duffy's a true freshman, Carter?
Yeah, there's no need to burn it if you don't have to.
But I saw the guy walk out there. He looked like a kicker playing quarterback. I was like, wow, that's crazy, man. No, that was very interesting. And do y'all think he's any good, the backup quarterback? I don't know anything about him.
We don't need him. We won by 40.
I will say I don't know if you're listening earlier, but it's very key for Florida State to keep Jordan Travis healthy. As the same as Sunday night. That will be a very pivotal thing to do for at least 3 quarters, 3.5.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, I've been looking at Mark knows I do like these film studies. I've been looking at Florida State's defense all day, and I'm releasing it a little bit later on the channel. Hope you guys can stop by, be a part of the live chat. It's crazy. I fell in love with Jamie Robinson. He is just, one of your traditional DBU, looks like an LSU defensive back out there. That guy does a little bit of everything. How'd y'all think he did on Saturday? And y'all think he's a big time player?
I think we saw that one play there. We had the PBU. He just has put himself in the right position, and Norvell talked about him. He's talked about him quite a bit this offseason, but after the game, really Adam Fuller, the defensive coordinator, said that he's just understood the game so much better now, and he's always had those physical attributes. He just understands offenses better and who he's going against and game planning. That's just exactly what you wanted to have. He had the chance to definitely go into the pros and, definitely was listening to a few things, but decided to come back. I think that's a smart idea from him. But I was going to say, this is officially DBU versus DBU, isn't it, this upcoming weekend? I don't think anybody's really talked about that, but this is the two schools that claim themselves as DBU. I know Ohio State is up there in the corner.
Yeah, I guess.
Up there in the corner with Ohio State.
If you're ignoring the Big Ten. Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Well, not the 2 highest paid defensive backs in the league with Jalen Ramsey and Derwin James holding that. But
Yeah.
Those 2 guys, not those 2.
Or the most DBs drafted since 2000. We may want to go to that statistic. We can always do that.
I mean,
the third string counts and the practice squad counts now.
There's current, but since 1989, there's only one school that has had an average of 1 DB drafted. Like, you can just that's multiple generations. That's success. That's from when damn near leather helmets to now with the Revo speed. So I mean, it's just a lot of stuff. But much respect to what LSU does. Yeah, Jamie Robinson is good. You didn't get the crazy thing is if you didn't hear the stat, they were releasing the ball in 2.38 seconds. You're not really getting a lot of safety work when the ball's going out. That's not even long enough to be able to run your deeper, your slower progressing route. So, but Jamie Robinson was a little bit more active than Akeem Dent. So, but yeah.
I like watching Florida State, and I went back and looked at some of Adam Fuller's stuff versus Cincinnati because LSU's OC is Mike Dimbrock, who was a play caller, obviously at Cincinnati, and now he's at LSU. So it's very interesting. It's going to be a fun matchup, Mark.
Carter, I want to turn my attention to LSU for one moment because I think there's a lot of people that forget this team was the national champion just 2 seasons ago. 2019 season, national champs. Last season, 6-7, dropped the bowl game to Kansas State. New coach this year in Brian Kelly. What is the expectation level right now in Baton Rouge in the first year of the Kelly era after getting rid of Ed Orgeron?
Yeah, it's a good question. So if you win 3 national championships in 3, you want to get back to playoffs. But, I think most LSU fans, like on my channel, I'm not, necessarily like the pom-pom waiver of, YouTubers. Everybody seems to be pretty measured on LSU going into this year. And what makes the SEC very interesting is this is the deepest it's ever been, right? And honestly, the quarterback play has never been as deep as it is now. And obviously, LSU fans understand it. This is a big question that Florida State fans have as well. Who's the quarterback going to be? And more than likely, it will be Jaden on Sunday. But, that's the big thing. It's a big question. A good bit of the SEC knows who their quarterback is going to be. Every school in the SEC West knows who their quarterback is going to be, except LSU. As Brian Kelly knows, but, he decided to not give the tactical advantage. So, I think most LSU fans understand that this is a very difficult schedule. This is obviously a tricky season opening game versus a really good Florida State team, and so I think LSU fans, if it were an 8-4 season, even if it were 7-5, Brian Kelly's locked in for the long haul no matter what. So they just want to see improvement, and Obviously, the biggest gap is just Brian Kelly is an infinitely better coach and in-game manager than what they had last year with the staff that they had.
Talk about that quarterback room. And like you said, Brian Kelly did not name his starter ahead of the game. But who are the different options that could take the snaps for LSU on Sunday?
Yeah, so a lot like the AJ Duffy situation, they did bring in like a top 100 quarterback in Walker Howard, but they want to redshirt him, right? So the two quarterbacks are Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier. Nussmeier, a rising year 2 redshirt freshman, and Jaden Daniels, obviously a 3-year starter at Arizona State, who left a very tumultuous situation at Arizona State. Obviously, Wilson coming over for you guys. A lot of people were just trying to get out of Arizona State. Their Pearsall went to Florida. So, it was kind of like a fire sale, if you will. And Jaden obviously is the better runner of the two. And Jaden is probably one of the best just dual threat quarterbacks when it comes to actually running the football in the country, where Garrett Nussmeier, he has the ability to run, but that's not really his thing. So, for a comparison for Garrett Nussmeier, you're thinking of a guy like Zach Wilson, right? A guy that loves to break the pocket, loves to make improvisational stuff happen, likes to throw on the off foot and make the spectacular throw happen. But more than likely for, Florida State fans, it will be Jaden Daniels, who you'll see on Sunday, but don't rule out seeing Garrett Nussmeier as well.
Of course, what Jaden Daniels needs to do is he needs to hit the like button, right, Logan?
Yeah, you got to hit the like button. We're at the 6:30 mark. This is the best time to hit the like button at all times. And then also subscribe to Mark. He's about to be a busy man with his 24-hour live stream going on. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also hit that bell for him. So then get notified every time we go live. Hopefully, we'll be live next weekend. Maybe I can hop on here if you do an instant reaction, Mark. I don't know. You might be crazy busy on. Well, actually, no, Sunday night. That's right. We're prime time, baby. That's right. Prime logos hit different.
Drunk Logan's the best Logan for a post-game show. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'll be leaving the press unless they have some beers or some kind of alcoholic
hit me up
options up there in the press box, and I won't be drunk then, but if afterwards, maybe.
Cool.
The question Carter Jason really wanted to hit you up with is, do you have a Discord that you can promote?
I do actually have like a private Discord with Patreon, but no, okay. I'm still learning all like the Discord stuff, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited that you guys are getting. Is this your first time going to New Orleans?
No, the last time I was in New Orleans was in 2009. I was blackout drunk for a Dolphins preseason.
Last time I was in New Orleans, they asked me if I wanted a window or aisle seat to go back home.
Last time out, yeah, I've been there once before, but not like this, not where we're gonna go have a full weekend and have some fun. So I'm looking forward to it.
Carter, along those lines, I think we've all talked about how these are two of the better atmospheres for a college game, both Baton Rouge and Tallahassee. Is there a little bit of upsetness that these games are in New Orleans and Orlando? Because I'm sorry, I would have loved to have gone to Baton Rouge and had you guys come to Tallahassee next year.
Yeah, and they asked BK about it. I think, I don't know how close the Tallahassee-Orlando relationship is, but the LSU relationship with the Superdome is a little bit more romantic, if you will, not only because of the national championships, but because of the connection New Orleans has. And a good number of LSU's players come from New Orleans. And obviously, Florida State. I mean, they've gotten some really good players out of New Orleans as well. So, having the game in the Superdome, it's such an iconic venue. I mean, everything's been in the Superdome. Jordan versus Georgetown has been in the Superdome. It's nuts, right? But games like this should be played on campus, right? Like in the mid-20s here in a few years, Clemson is doing a home and home, and the games will be at both the Death Valley. So I understand, get a nice $5 million check, getting to play in New Orleans. But yeah, I think, I've always wanted to go to Tallahassee. I mean, I grew up, I was sharing this. I've been having a lot of Florida State fans hanging out in the YouTube chats, and I'm sure you've had some LSU fans as well chatting with you. It's just amazing. I just remember growing up watching Peter Warwick and Warwick Dunn. Like Warwick Dunn, obviously from Baton Rouge. That's the reason why I liked him. But man, Peter Warwick was just the funnest human being that I remember wanting to be Peter Warwick. And then I ended up running like a 5.4 40-yard dash in high school. And I was like, well, I'm not going to be Peter Bork. But yeah, Florida State, just an iconic brand, and it's good. You know, these teams haven't played a whole lot. And yeah, you would prefer the games to be played in their home stadiums.
Carter, how about these two with the Superdome? First indoor Super Bowl at the Superdome, and also Muhammad Ali's last heavyweight title fight.
I didn't know that
won.
one. I didn't know that one off the top of my head. That's crazy, man.
And Florida State beating Virginia Tech for the 1999 national title. Obviously, the biggest moment in Superdome history. I think yes.
Hey, man, that was a fun time. I just remember watching that game. It was so much fun. But obviously, getting to watch this one, man, you get two exciting teams, two exciting brands, both brands outside the top 25, which is kind of weird. And the winner probably gets into the top 25.
Yep, that'd be wild.
One of the questions I have is a lot of Florida State fans have been haven't had a winner in the last 5 years. Even with the ones going to the bowl games, there's been a lot of pessimism. But we've had a lot of guys transfer in, a lot of talent. We've also had people leave and transfer out. It seems like there's a lot of similarities with what you guys have at LSU. Also having some very talented younger players. Our fan base doesn't seem to like our younger players or our transfers as much as they like your younger players and your transfers.
Okay.
Meaning that all of our transfers suck compared to what your transfers are, and our young guys suck compared to what your young guys are. Do you guys have a similar pessimism there, or is it still just, or is it out? Because I've noticed that you've got some super talented wide receivers, you've got an incredibly talented defensive lineman, you've got incredibly not just one, but just a couple of them in general. And then I just went to go look at the stats, and I'm like, well, I'm saying this, but I don't have anything to justify it per se, except for I know. Could you kind of explain what you guys have, the talent, and kind of what the vibe of your fan base is?
Yeah, it's a great question, right? So you look at Florida State's wide receiver room, obviously, filled with talents, filled with transfers, as you mentioned, Wilson and then Pittman coming over from Oregon, and they're going to be going up against a secondary that is full of transfers as well. I mean, it's all transfers in the LSU secondary outside of just a few, right? So, I mean, this wide receiver DB matchup is just going to be full of players that, that are brand new, right? Which is, pretty incredible. I like some of Florida State's young players. I mean, I know LSU was in it for Azariah Thomas for a little bit. I mean, he's special. I think he's really, really good. And LSU's got a lot of young true freshmen as well, right? So, yeah, I mean, LSU's recruiting class was really good, all things considered. Harold Perkins is just a really special football player. He makes his debut. He's a linebacker. And then LSU starts a true freshman left tackle and Will Campbell, who is a top 50 recruit as well. So it's going to be interesting. Obviously, this was an issue just watching Florida State last year, just guys getting open. I like your receiver room a little bit better, and LSU's defensive back room is brand new. They bring in Jarek Bernard-Converse, who was an all-conference performer at Oklahoma State. You bring in Colby Richardson, who was an FCS transfer, who's probably going to play a lot. Mekhi Gardner was a non-Power 5 transfer. And the crazy thing about it is all these defensive backs had Louisiana ties. They just weren't taken, or they didn't commit to LSU the first time around. So for a lot of these new transfers that came in, this is a big game for them because, the dream for a lot of these kids is growing up and playing at LSU, right? And they are making their debuts, right? So they're going to be really amped up. And the key thing in those situations, especially in a loud and crazy dome, is communicating, right? And, as I was putting together this film study that'll be released tonight, the one thing I really liked about Jamie Robinson is, I didn't make a lot of plays, but I saw him making a lot of calls. He was a talisman. He was the straw that stirred the drink. He was a guy that got people aligned where they need to be. And, finding who that person's going to be for LSU is going to be key. Who's going to be the leader? And if they find one, they should have a fine football unit going into Sunday.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask because we got the news a little while ago about John Emery, LSU's really talented running back, not being available for the first two games of the season. So that affects this upcoming Sunday against Florida State. What do you think about this run game for LSU? This is you're putting pieces together at the offensive line now. Like you said, you're going to have a true freshman at the tackle position. You're going to want to get the run game going because it's Jaden Daniels. He can also use his legs too. You got the wide receivers. I'm just wondering, what do you think Brian Kelly is going to want to do here game plan wise? Is it specifically going to be Jaden Daniels and try to get those short intermediate routes? I've heard through their camp so far that's done pretty well for Jaden. And not so much from the run game. What do you think out of that room now missing John Emery?
Yeah, it's a great question, Logan. I think for me, Will Campbell at left tackle will be okay, right? Verse is a very good, defensive end, very technically sound. But the big thing is the center position, right? They're starting Garrett Dellinger, who is a year 2 player, and all 5 LSU offensive line, all 5 of them played offensive tackle in high school. So Dellinger's playing a new position, and Cooper and those guys are really good interior linemen for Florida State. So it's going to be tough to just move the middle of that defensive line. And even Brian Kelly referenced that in his press conference this week. So I expect to see a lot of misdirection. I expect to see a lot of zone read. I know it was Duquesne, but they had success getting into the edges, right? Attacking, the speed of Florida State going left to right. And Fuller's defenses do a great job of not letting you just run through the middle. So, for me, I think that's going to be very key as far as getting to the edges and loosening up that middle. And then, you eventually start running it some up the middle. So yeah, you lose John Emery. He was probably the most special running back with the football in his hands, but you do get Noah Cain. This is another situation where a guy went to Penn State and now he returns home and he gets his homecoming with LSU because he was originally from Baton Rouge. So he's going to be the lead guy, number 21, and it's going to be key for him to be very consistent right off the jump.
Carter, I'm going to put you on the spot real quick with 2 of the most important questions. Actually, an important question, and then I'm going to let you sell your Tigers for a moment. Question number 1, best places to eat in New Orleans.
That's a good question. So for me, and this is just true, like if you're going to the 504, everywhere is good, right? They'll tell you to go to like, Mama's and all these different places. Everywhere that you go is going to be good, right? And then obviously watch, your drinking. There's a lot of drinks that'll sneak up on you.
Okay.
Don't let those catch up to you because the Superdome can be very hellacious if you're hammered. It can be disorienting. It gets very, very loud in there, especially, all the electricity going into this matchup. So that would be my biggest recommendation. Shrimp po' boy is my favorite. That's my go-to just pretty much anywhere, but be careful with what you consume. Don't just think, oh my goodness, this hand grenade is living up to the hype. I'll have 3 more. No, you don't want to do that.
Logan, he's talking to you, Logan.
Yeah. We're going to try not to do that. I won't be doing that. If I go by James's tailgate, that might just be enough for me. The moonshine might be enough for me.
No, James, you're throwing a tailgate?
Yeah. Okay. Correct me. Poydra.
Yeah,
anyways,
yeah.
So under the overpass, man, you're more than what. Last time this happened, we lost, so I shouldn't do this because I had Mike McDaniel come, Mark, when we played Virginia Tech. But man, you're more than welcome, man. Come meet me. We'll have a beverage, an adult beverage together. And cigars. Yeah. We have cigars and we'll have food. So it's all kinds of stuff, man.
Cool. I'm glad Florida State fans are going and making this a trip. Yeah, I mean, the Superdome's iconic, right? Like, yeah, New Orleans is great. I'm guessing most Florida State fans that are going early, you're going to get to do like some New Orleans kinds of things. But make sure, I cannot say it enough, don't go into the Superdome drunk. Make sure you take it in. You're going to feel something different when you walk in there, knowing what, Mark was mentioning a minute ago, Ali, Jordan, these are Burrow, if you will, if I can. These guys had some of the biggest moments of their athletic careers in this building. So it's definitely a lot of fun. But, to answer your question, anywhere in New Orleans is going to be great.
So along those lines, let me now, what I'm about to say, I have respect for LSU. So I'm not trying to sound like a hater when I say this. LSU's coming to this game as a favorite, 3-point favorite. Obviously, I believe that's because of the games in New Orleans. To me, from an outsider's perspective, this is an LSU team that came in 6-7. They're coming in off a 6-7 season last year. New coach, a coach who, with all due respect, with a better Notre Dame team, I think Notre Dame was a better team than LSU last year, and beat Florida State by 3 points in overtime. Tell me why, and I say this with all due respect, why we should be afraid of LSU, of this LSU team.
Well, it is a 3-point spread, right? You shouldn't be afraid of anything. I think, honestly, I've watched a good bit of Florida State. I watched a Duquesne game. I watched the Notre Dame games, just throughout this week, putting together, content for the channel. There's a lot of players I like on Florida State, a lot of players that grow on me. And, I'm a harsh critic of who guys that really stood out to me. And 0, 91, 15, and 10. Those are the guys that stood out to me on defense. The issue, though, is there are some defensive linemen for LSU that can take over football games, right? 0 for you guys is great. 0 for LSU is a guy you got to watch out for, Mason Smith and Jaquayan Roy, number 99. It's just they're incredible defensive tackles. And that's where a lot of the trouble is going to come from for Florida State, right up there. And I mean, look, Norvell's known for his running backs. We'll see if he can run the football on that front. I think Florida State's going to try and run a lot of counter. I think they're going to try and pull a bunch of guys and take advantage sometimes of LSU's aggressive defensive line. It's going to be interesting to see how LSU counters the counter, right? But that's who you have to fear right there, right up the middle, 0 and 91. And truth be told, on the other side of the football, Kayshawn is incredible. Number 7. You can't short sell what this guy's accomplished when he's been healthy. And when you think about all the great LSU wide receivers, when he's been healthy, he's been as productive as all of them. His production rate is just absolutely insane. And he has the ankle injury. He now wears this number 7 uniform that all the legends have worn. And this is big for him, right? He's been hearing that Jackson Smith and Jigba's the best receiver. Jordan Addison's the best receiver. Quentin Johnson's the best receiver. But Kayshawn wants to come out and show that he's been one of the best. And I think, to me, the biggest surprise that a lot of Florida State fans might have is how good all the other receivers are for LSU, right? Kayshawn gets so much of the credit, but Jack Bech, number 80, BTJ, number 11, Brian Thomas Jr., and number 8, Malik Neighbors, they're all rising sophomores. So you look historically, most college football receivers get into the prime of their careers. You normally see who they are when it's year 2. And all these guys played a lot in year 1, and in year 2, they're probably better than what they were last year. And now they're the guys. They are the bona fide backup guys. So they are looking to take that next step. And obviously, a lot of it's going to come down to quarterback efficiency. Can Jaden throw? And will he have time to throw? So, as far as fearing, to use your words, the guys you should fear, just keep it simple. I'm a numbers guy. Number 0, number 99 on defense, and then on offense, 87 and number 8 and number 11 at wide receiver.
I think we're all ready for New Orleans. I'm ready. Logan's going to be out there Friday. I'm going to be out there Saturday.
Dang, y'all are all going. I like that.
I got my New Orleans mix on my phone ready as soon as I get off the airplane from Miami. I got a little 504 boys, a little big timers. We're going up. We're going old school.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's great. I'm doing a pregame show down there. So if you guys want to link up, just feel free to shoot me a message at Power Hour LSU. And I can't wait, man. I'm not gonna lie. I really had a lot of fun studying Adam Fuller. I think he's very, very, very interesting as a defensive play caller, and interesting to see what Atkins and Norvell have schemed up. Now, how's the offensive line? Are y'all healthy? Y'all gonna be ready to go?
I think only you and my 9-year-old son are the only 2 people who just truly love Adam Fuller.
He's good.
Who have said I have said he's the most surprising guy that we've had. Our defense has been not bad. Our offense has not taken off like it should, but I get it.
I'll trade him to you for a plate of fried shrimp at this rate. So
why are you out? Look, okay. let me say this, right? This is an outsider view of watching. 15, I don't remember the kid from UCF is a good player. Y'all's linebackers were too slow at times last year. Y'all had stuff, y'all had trouble, stopping mobile quarterbacks as well. I watch, some of, all this different Florida State content, X's and O's and all these different things. And I was like, okay, let me go check this for myself. And I was like, well, a lot of the stuff Fuller's doing is fine. My biggest thing though, is like, in terms of defense, I'm not in love with playing a 4-man front, but you could still do it. You could still do it in the modern era. You just gotta, the tough thing, and this is what LSU is going to do. They're going to attack the edges. And what I think Florida State will do defensively, and Brian Kelly brought this up in the press conference as well, they're going to play a lot of quarters. They're going to be like, look, we're not going to let Kayshawn beat us over the top. So, it's going to come down to LSU saying, look, can we throw consistent balls to the outside, these 7-yard outs, 8 yards out, 8-yard comeback routes? I think Fuller's going to make him work for it. And if he does it, I think that will make this a close game. So right now I have LSU edging Florida State, but as of right now, it could go either way. That's the beauty of it, baby. Sunday night in the dome. Let's go.
So Carter making a prediction, going with LSU with a close win over Florida State. Imagine that.
I think the matchup that I'm looking forward to the most, I'm projecting this, it's going to be Butte and it's going to be Renardo Green. I know everybody's talking about Marion Cooper a lot, and he wasn't available week 0 against Duquesne. I expected him to be a full go on Saturday, but Renardo Green has had a really nice the latter half of fall camp and last week of practice and this week alone. We haven't been able to go see tomorrow's practice yet. The schedule changed. Usually it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Carter, that we get to see him, and Renardo has looked good. I think it's going to be number 8 on Butte on Sunday night, and I think FSU fans are hoping for the best there because you got some talented wide receivers. The biggest factor for Florida State, though, is the D-line versus offensive line there. Like you said, those guys are going to have to build some chemistry pretty quickly there for the first time ever, and it's not going to be an easy group to go against. I think that's going to be probably your biggest 2 matchups, and it's going to happen play-by-play on LSU on offense and FSU on defense. I think that's going to be the factor there, in my opinion, out of all of this.
Logan, make a pick. Carter manned up and made a pick. It's your turn.
No, I'm not making one. I got to wait till the show tonight. I got to wait.
No, he didn't have to get a pick. He doesn't have to. I wish we had the practice today because there's availability. And I was just about to say, LSU's had a really healthy camp for the most part. I know some guys weren't dressed last week, but it seems like they're good to go. FSU kind of on the other side, with Gaynor being out, but Florida State's had a pretty up and down camp with injuries. LSU's bringing in a pretty healthy squad, correct? Yeah, they're looking for the most part pretty healthy, and they were very, very, very conservative as far as, well, this guy might not be fully ready to go for practice, so we don't want him to go out there. And one little thing here at the end is LSU, even though they were as bad as they were, the one thing where they were exceptional was special teams, right? They had arguably the best field goal kicker in college football, who's kicking 60-yarders for the Browns now in preseason. Their kickoff specialist is no longer there, and he had one of the highest touchback percentages of any kickoff specialist in college football over the last 4 years. So, and they have a new punter. The Notre Dame punter transfers over to Baton Rouge, and it's very interesting. It's going to be a brand new special teams unit for LSU as well.
James, you don't have a Discord. Can you make a pick? Come on, man.
I do have a Discord. I have the original Discord.
Yes, the OG Discord.
Like,
am I the only one? Am I the only one without a Discord?
Yes.
Every week you say this. Yes.
Yes. Like, it's like my Discord is literally the blueprint for everybody's Discords or message boards now. It's 5th quarter college football, but I think Florida State's going to win 27-24. But I have one more question because I was having discussions about, was it Mason Smith, right? Ooh,
yeah.
I do believe it's good. So was it practice, like the spring practice that you guys have got a chance to see, and then the fall camp Because or is there like I just want to know a couple because I actually want to watch them. I like good D line play, and when I just went and looked at the stats, and I was like, all right, this guy. I'm not watching McNeese State. I'm not going to watch that. That's where he had 3 sacks, and I'll probably go watch the Florida game. Is there any other game that I can go watch of him to be able to see the dominance? Because Josh Pate says, I think is that his name, Josh Pate, the 247 guy. Said something that was incredible. He said he's unblocked. He's going to be unblockable. And when I hear terms like that, I expect to go see unblockable stats. And I don't want to discount him. And I do know he's talented, especially this framework. Guys don't get built like that every day. So I'm just trying to find out so I can watch because this is because I am intrigued to want to know more about what this LSU team does.
Yeah, so last year because of injuries, they asked him to play some defensive end. So he's a guy that could play all 4. He's a really freak athlete, right? UCLA game was really good, like just the first game he's ever played. They couldn't block him and just pressure right up the middle. And I think this actually happened some. And 0 and 91, Cooper and what's the other ones? Number 0, number 91. Cooper.
We got Cooper and Lovett.
Cooper and Lovett. Okay. And this happens a lot now because quarterbacks are so good at like getting rid of the football, where if you get pressure right up the middle, you see them right up the middle, and that affects your stats, right? Mm-hmm. So Cooper and Lovett, I thought, dominated versus Duquesne, but they only had 1 combined tackle. So I think that happened a lot to Mason Smith as well. Like his numbers don't look just absolutely incredible. But yeah, and look, I listened to that segment from Pate. I had a few people send it to me, and Mason Smith is just really good. Like he just makes a lot of stuff happen. But I will also include that the better pass rusher out of the 2 is 99, Jaquelin Roy. He's on a couple of first-round boards. And look, they got a brand new defensive line coach. This is Roy's 3rd defensive line coach in 3 years. And the defense is going to be new. This is my biggest takeaway from this week was and it might have been you, Logan. I saw a Florida State reporter tweet this out. It might have been the reporter from 247 that they haven't seen Matt House's defense since 2018. Nobody really knows what Matt House is actually going to do on defense. And what makes it very interesting is even in the practice clips that they released to the public, they didn't really do a whole lot of exotic things defensively. They really didn't. So I think you could see a lot of different stuff thrown Florida State's way. And that would be, for Florida State, a big cause for concern. And also look out for number 10, Harold Perkins. This guy is unbelievable. This is one of the best high school football recruits I've ever seen. And I felt that way even when he committed to Texas A&M. He is truly incredible. All his high school highlights are him at running back, and now he's playing linebacker. He has some linebacker highlights. He is truly, truly insane. And no one really knows how he's going to be used. Are they going to blitz him? Are they going to drop him in coverage? What are they going to do? So it should be a fun debut for both of them.
Hey, my prediction is going to be Jason on Patreon, which is connected to the Discord. So, Carter, if you didn't guess, Jason, just the word Discord.
Hate it.
Yeah,
I don't understand it. I don't understand the hatred, but it's smart though. Discord's very smart.
I work for an actual TV station, so I don't have a Discord. So I'll give you my prediction right now. I know, I get it. I understand. I think it's gonna be a great game. I wish this was the LSU Florida State game from 30 plus years ago, when they were 2 of the better teams, or even 5 or 6 years ago when they were 2 of the better teams in college football. I've made a lot of stupid picks in the last couple of years. This one may come back to bite me, but I'll do it. Florida State 24, LSU 20.
Oh, okay.
I like one thing, Mark, before I get it. Everyone's predictions, okay, even neutral national guys that I've seen, both scores in the 20s. Everyone thinks it's kind of in that 20-ish, and it's weird because I think everybody feels the same way about both sides of the football, whether you're a fan of one or the other, whether you're just a neutral observer. Nobody's totally in love with either side's offense. Nobody is totally in love with either side's defense. But neither side thinks that the other is that bad, and that's why you're getting a lot of these scores in the 20s. It's very interesting, but yeah, it's great.
But maybe the most important question to ask and answer for the hour, Carter, is somebody told me today that Keyshawn Butte is now Keyshawn Booty.
Booty, rocking everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's interesting, right? It was Butte, but it's Booty. He says it's Booty. I don't ask me why. It's
Wait a minute, he changed his name, or he's telling us to pronounce it Booty?
No, I guess it's always just been Booty, but people just started. Yeah, and then people just started doing Butte, and it's still spelled the same, Boutee.
He's working the NIL angle. Is right. What he's working for.
I think we're also glossing over the fact that Carter just made a Bubba Sparks reference by singing that song. I just want to throw that.
There you go. That better be.
I just want to point that out for one moment, that we should gloss over the fact that Carter just made Bubba Sparks song. Okay.
Well,
that's awesome.
Well, guys, we'll see you on Sunday. Once again, any of you going to the game, shoot me a message. I'm doing a show in downtown New Orleans, and have fun. Be safe, and let's have a good game on Sunday.
Are you going to be up there in the box, or are you staying down?
I'm actually not going to the game at all. I'm just going to do a show down there.
Gotcha.
I did the press box thing for so long. There's a lot that I miss about it. The free food being one of them. But yeah, I'm just gonna be down there, man. Just doing a show, hanging out with a bunch of LSU and Florida State fans. So we'll see you guys on Sunday. Let's
guys,
go.
If anyone has an extra ticket, get Carter a ticket. We gotta get Carter in there for this one. I know.
Oh no. No, I actually
He's chilling.
I actually can't go. Like, I have an agreement to do a show from a halftime show from one of the nice places down there, Stumpy's in New Orleans. So should be fun.
Businessman.
Hey, it's about connecting with all the beautiful college football fans out there. It's just crazy that we're even getting this opportunity between these two brands. And I just learned, I didn't know about this brawl, but Bowden's 200th win and I see you nodding your head.
1990.
Yes.
1990.
So I had no idea about the brawl, and I got a bunch of messages from people like, Carter, you might be too young to remember the brawl. And I was like, yeah, I was one. And I was like, holy crap. That was like an insane freaking brawl at the end of this very big moment for Coach Bowden. And it was intense. I was like, wow, is this Malice in the Palace part? But there were no fans involved, but still, it was crazy.
I was 7 years old, went up to that game, and I remember distinctly asking my dad, why are they fighting? My father, a Florida State alum, obviously was biased in his opinion about it. But yes, there was a fight at the end of the game. The following season, we went to Baton Rouge. BC was the #1 ranked team in the country. We haven't played since. So it's the first time in over 30 seasons that LSU and Florida State will play. So
that's crazy. That is absolutely wild. I love it. Well, yeah, I'm getting ready to go live on my channel. Mark, thank you so much. It was good to connect with all of you, and y'all have an absolutely wonderful time in New Orleans.
Carter, thanks
perfect
for joining
transition
us.
right here, everyone. Head on over to Carter's channel right here on YouTube right now. Get on over there, Power Hour LSU. Carter, always appreciate you, man.
Cheers, guys. See you guys.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much.
Cheers.
Thank you for the help and everything. Good analysis.
Good stuff out of Carter.
Logan,
As always.
Logan,
There was like no bias. I actually really enjoyed talking to him. It's not like, yeah, we're going to beat you guys by 1,000. I'm just like, man, that was like pleasant. It was awesome.
and he offered Logan some sage advice. Logan, it's my birthday tomorrow. As my birthday gift to you, please don't drunkenly fall in the press box. That's all I'm asking.
Drunkenly, I promise you, I don't plan on getting drunk before this. I don't try doing that before any game. I like to have a couple beers, but not too crazy. Afterwards is definitely the time to shine. We get an extra hour behind time, Central Time, so still probably not going to be getting out of the stadium until 12:30 or 1 a.m. But
stay away from James's moonshine. That's all I'm asking.
That's the real thing to watch out for. That's what I'm saying.
The moonshine is.
I take one shot of that, and I might not know how to get in the stadium.
That's funny.
There it is. We've been waiting for this game forever, all off season. We finally get it, coming off a 47-7 opening win against Duquesne. Now it's time to man up against LSU. A couple struggling programs, but big name brands in the sport. We'll see who gets the first key win of 2022. James, what do people need to know about what you got available right now?
The biggest thing is we have the big games tailgate. We actually got a whole weekend right now, but if you go to my pin tweet at Big Game James _36, you can see a video of what we have for the weekend. We're doing a kickback on Friday night. I won't be there on Friday night. We're doing a kickback on Saturday night. We're doing the tailgate from 12 until on Sunday. The tailgate is $40. All you can eat, all you can drink. If you like cigars, there'll be cigars for you to be able to be there. Meet some Seminole royalty, former players. One of the coolest things about going to a game with me, you never know who you're going to meet. You'll meet all kinds of different people. We'll have a DJ. We're doing this as a real tailgate. It's like outside. We're rushing to the spot, and we're gonna have some good food with with a little bit of local flair. So we have this ain't no hot dogs and hamburgers, ribs, chicken. We'll have hot dogs and hamburgers too. Baked beans, green beans, mixed vegetables, mac and cheese, bread pudding, peach cobbler. We're gonna have some jambalaya, and I think we're gonna have some cool, authentic New Orleans red beans and rice. So it's gonna be good, very filling. If you're going to drink, this is one of those tailgates that you'll at least have some good, solid food on you so that you can enjoy your beverages. But all proceeds go toward mentors for the kids. So we have our Thanksgiving give back, and we have gifts for good grades that are going to happen here during the holiday season. So we give full turkey dinners to people for Christmas, and all the kids who participate in my book bag drive that made good grades, they get a $30 Christmas gift, up to a $30 Christmas gift. So that's basically the big thing. But go follow at Big Game James _36 on IG and Twitter. And then I will be live tweeting the game inside the Superdome, possibly inebriated, but I will be giving you breakdowns of what I believe the offense is doing good and what they're not doing good.
This is going to get fun.
I'm checking on flights, Cleveland to New Orleans.
Come on, hang out. I actually was gonna ask Carter if I think I have 2 tickets left. So it's in there. I mean, I got 120 section 124 and 126. So we're in the end zone. So 7 rows up.
As long as you're there, as long as anybody's there.
Ticket. We're good. We're good for him. We're gonna get Carter in, guys. Get Vince Carter to get inside that stadium.
Got to get Carter in there. I don't think he really wants to be. I think he's a businessman. He's a showman.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he takes care of everything.
Yeah, I can understand that. That's for sure. Logan, tell people what you got going.
I don't have any tailgate. I'll be at James's tailgate though. I learned quickly at the spring one how good the lineup of food is. So I got my plate and went to the press box after that. But right now we'll go live in about an hour previewing this game. We'll talk a little bit of Duquesne. We already did our game recap, but we're going to talk a little Duquesne, and then we'll go straight into Florida State LSU. We also have one of the Sports Illustrated's writers coming on with us from Baton Rouge over there. He's going to come in and give us some insight of what's actually going on during these camps, and Brian Kelly and what his thoughts are of Kelly. So excited to have him on tonight to give us some good insight, and then we're going to have full coverage this upcoming weekend. There's nothing much about it, man. We're just going to try to kill it and enjoy the weekend. I'm excited to be down there with all of our show will be there with all of our guys. So excited to just meet a lot of people, have a good time, and hopefully leave Florida State with the win there, and we'll be able to hop on here and have a good time on next Wednesday and actually have a bye week. I'm looking forward to the bye week. It's been stressful last month nonstop.
And Jason is Nolans bound.
I am. I'll be heading out on Saturday. NBC6.com. We're previewing all the teams. We previewed Miami. We previewed FIU, Florida State, Florida. We'll do UCF, FAU, and USF tomorrow. The USF will be a very quick preview. Don't worry about that one. But we'll have all our previews getting ready for the season as everything kicks off this week.
Sweet.
I am on live after the game to take your calls. We'll be back here next Wednesday at 6 Eastern. See you then. Bring a friend or 2 or 50 with you next Wednesday at 6. See you then.
Logan, don't get drunk.